Let's go from there now to NBC's Ali Rafa, who's at the White House with President Biden's reaction to McCarthy's speaker win. Ali, what are we hearing from the president today after that long, contentious battle in the House?
Yeah, Alex, well, President Biden left for a quick overnight trip to his home in Delaware a few hours before the House reconvened for that final round of votes late last night. But he, like the rest of us, was watching and waiting as this drama unfolded on the House floor last night. Shortly after McCarthy won the speakership, he released a statement congratulating McCarthy, saying he's ready to work with him over the next 2 years. In this statement, he says in part, quote, "As I said after the midterms, I'm prepared to work with Republicans when I can," and voters made clear that they expect Republicans to be prepared to work with me as well. President Biden in this statement highlighting his own trip this week to Kentucky with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, where both of them touted the bipartisan infrastructure law and just the importance of working across the aisle to get things done. President Biden saying that now that the House has a speaker, the real work can start. But Alex, you and I both know how difficult that's going to be after House Republicans have pledged to use the next 2 years to really try to stall President Biden's agenda to launch investigations into the president himself, his family. One thing that President Biden is making good on is something that House Republicans as well as Senate Republicans have slammed him on for really months and years now, really calling for him to go to the U.S.-Mexico border to see the crisis there himself. Now we have learned that President Biden will head to El Paso, Texas tomorrow to see that firsthand. He'll meet with Border Patrol agents and possibly even asylum seekers themselves while in El Paso tomorrow. After that, he heads to Mexico City for the National Leaders Summit, where he will speak with the Mexican president. Undoubtedly, this immigration crisis likely to be brought up, especially as the U.S. more heavily relies on Mexico to provide protections to migrants that will now be pushed back across the border to Mexico, especially in light of these new immigration policies that President Biden announced this week, Alex.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be the focus for the few days ahead of us, for sure. Thank you so much for that, Ali Rafa.
Alarming new details. We're learning about a shooting at an elementary school in Newport News, Virginia. Police say a 6-year-old boy, a first grader, somehow got a hold of a gun and opened fire at his teacher, critically wounding her. ABC's senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky is here. Aaron, good morning to you. Police say this was not an accidental shooting.
They didn't explain what it was, but they did say, Janae, it is not an accident. And in a country inured to gun violence, what happened at that elementary school in Newport News, Virginia, is truly stunning.
Teacher shot.
This morning, a 6-year-old boy is in custody and a teacher is in critical condition after a shooting at Rich Neck Elementary School.
I'm in shock, and I'm disheartened.
Female victim, she's been shot in the abdomen as well as a through and through into the hand.
Police said the 6-year-old brought a handgun to a first-grade classroom and deliberately shot the teacher.
This was not an accidental shooting.
The school locked down. Officers swarmed in, trying to calm terrified students and bewildered parents.
Instantly, my heart dropped because I'm thinking of the age of these children and what they possibly were going through at that time.
The president of the American Federation of Teachers describing the event as a horrific tragedy, adding that guns shouldn't be in our classrooms, our campuses, or anywhere near our schools. Police did not say how someone so young had access to a gun, but the school superintendent said it represented a breakdown in values.
We need to keep the guns out of the hands of our young people.
There's no school at Rich Neck Elementary on Monday while authorities figure out both how to prevent this in the future and whether the student was known to be a troubled child. The most critical question, though, Whit, how the gun wound up in the hands of a little boy. Whit?
That is the question. Such an upsetting story. All right, Aaron, thank you.
That was easy, huh? I never thought we'd get up here. Thank you, Minority Leader Jeffries. Hakeem, I've got to warn you. 2 years ago, I got 100% of the vote from my conference. You know, my father always told me, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And now we need to finish strong for the American people.
Now will the Speaker designate
raise his right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you're about to enter? So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Congratulations and Godspeed.
The Mexican president has defended the military operation that captured a drug cartel leader, Ovidio Guzman, the son of jailed drug trafficker El Chapo. Violence erupted in Culiacan, a stronghold of the cartel. At least 19 members of the Sinaloa cartel and 10 members of the military were killed. The arrest comes ahead of a visit by President Biden to Mexico on Sunday. Sylvia Lennon-Spence reports.
The son of the notorious drug lord El Chapo, arrested and taken to the same maximum security prison his father escaped from 8 years ago. Ovidio Guzman is accused of leading a faction of his father's former Sinaloa cartel, one of the largest drug trafficking organizations in the world. The arrest sparked a wave of violence. Dozens were killed, including 10 military personnel. The president of Mexico has defended the operation.
We regret the loss of lives of those who died while carrying out their jobs. We also regret other losses.
Following the arrest, dozens of vehicles were set alight, and at least 2 planes at local airports were hit by gunfire in attacks blamed on the Sinaloa cartel.
These criminal organizations shot with weapons at aircraft from the Mexican Air Force and from commercial airlines, and at the international Culiacan airport facilities. Nevertheless, they did not achieve their goal of rescuing the alleged offender because we neutralized him.
This isn't the first time such violence has been seen. Guzman was first captured in 2019, but Mexican security forces released him to avoid the threat of further retribution from his supporters.
We, of course, have been closely following.
He's been on America's radar for years, with the US State Department previously offering a $5 million reward for information leading to his arrest or conviction. On Sunday, President Biden is due to visit Mexico, but ministers have rejected suggestions by Mexican media that Guzman's capture is in any way a welcoming gift. Sylvia Lennon-Spence, BBC News.
We begin with breaking news on Capitol Hill, where a days-long House GOP deadlock full of tantrums and theatrics dragged on into the wee hours of this morning. California Republican Kevin McCarthy finally getting his hands on the House Speaker's gavel at 1:13 a.m. Eastern Time, now putting him second in line to succeed the President of the United States. But that came only after 4 grueling days of voting. His less moderate Republican peers putting him through the ringer in a roller coaster of votes for and against him. And on the 15th try, his name finally went up over the Speaker's office.
How about your sign?
Oh, yeah. All right, turn around. Take a picture of that.
So, hang on, guys. Hang on. Easy. Easy.
All right, that's somebody use my phone. See, that was worth the wait.
Well, here's a bit more from NBC's Ali Vitale.
It's official.
The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
That was easy, huh? This chamber is now fully open for all Americans to visit.
It ends the longest Speaker vote in 100 years, a dramatic and twisting political melodrama not seen in the modern era.
And now, the hard work begins. We will use the power of the purse and the power of the subpoena to get the job done.
McCarthy allies expected him to clinch the speakership on the 14th ballot, thinking they had the votes.
A speaker has not been elected.
Shock reverberating throughout the chamber.
Gates.
As Congressman Matt Gaetz held firm as the man standing in the way of McCarthy's speakership. McCarthy himself begging for Gaetz's vote on the floor. Congressman Mike Rogers, a McCarthy ally, being held back from lunging at Gaetz. Members pleading with their colleagues, even calling former President Donald Trump for backup. Chaotic scenes we normally wouldn't have seen if usual House rules had been in place. Then, finally, Gaetz assuring a beleaguered McCarthy before all 6 holdouts moved as one on ballot number 15.
Gaetz. Present. Boebert. Present. Rosendale. Present.
But McCarthy's gavel came at a high cost. Days of negotiations brought a long list of concessions from the would-be speaker to the rightmost flank of his party. One member can now trigger a vote to vacate the chair or oust the speaker. Plus, key spots on committees that have huge say over spending decisions and big sway over what bills make it to the floor for votes. All moves that weaken the speaker and spread power to the Republican rank and file.
This will change this House. Let's be very clear.
Lawmakers sworn in well after midnight, ready to, finally, get to work.